What a crazy coincidence. Okay. Y'all ready to do our hello song? All right. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as quiet as we can. Hello. Hello. That's so quiet. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as loud as we can. Hello! Oh, that was loud. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as fast as we can. Hello! Hello! Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as slow as we can. Hello. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as high as we can. Hello! All right, last one. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say hello as low as we can. Hello. Oh my goodness, you're silly. Well, that's fun. I think it's fun to say it in the different voices. I like that to start. So for our announcements today, I wanted to tell you about our Super Saturday program this Saturday at 10 a.m. in the Event Center. You were making funny faces today. Bright Star Theater will be here today, this Saturday presenting African folk tales. So that'll be at 10 a.m. in the Event Center, and you don't have to register for that, so just come on and bring the whole family. Does anybody know what we're going to be talking about today? Any guesses? Baths. That's right. We're going to read stories and sing songs about baths today. So if you wanted to say bath in Spanish, does anyone know how to do that? I was surprised to learn it's the same as to say like the bathroom. So it's el baño. El baño means the bath. Yeah, baño. And if you wanted to say it in American Sign Language, it's kind of a fun one because you put your hands in front of your chest with 2 thumbs up and you go up and down like you're washing yourself. Bath. So that makes a lot of sense. Bath or baño. Very good. Okay. So let me get my remote. We'll go over our story time plan real quick. We just did our hello and our announcements. We learned a word in sign language. Now it's time for our first story. And then we'll do a quick action rhyme. We'll read a second story. And then we're going to jam out and dance to a song. That'll be a lot of fun. We got a third story. We'll do a quick flannel rhyme. We'll talk about our craft, and then it'll be time for our goodbye song. So that's what we're going to do today in this preschool story time. All right, let's get to our first story. It is called Wash On by Michel Marineau and Manon Gauthier. And this book was actually translated from French. So it's in English now, but it started its life out in French. Mr. and Mrs. Gillis have 2 daughters, Babette and Petronilla. Babette is perfect. And Petronilla is Petronilla. She has a talent for chaos. So there's Mr. Gillis, there's Mrs. Gillis, there's Babette the perfect, and there's Petronilla. Oh, and there's the dog. Those are our characters. One day, Mrs. Gillis tried to give her daughter a bath. Wash on, said Petronilla. Not wash on, sweetheart, said her mother. Wash off. When you wash, the mess comes off. If you washed something on, it would... Oops, what happened? I don't know. Let's find out. Petronilla's cheek was blue. Blue like the washcloth. Strange, murmured Mrs. Gillis. Very strange. So she tried a second washcloth. Her daughter's cheek turned green. Ah, she said. It's washing on. Babette and her father and the dog all came running. They found the bathroom splattered with splashes of color. Wash on, Petronilla crowed. Mrs. Gillis furrowed her brows. Petronilla, say wash off this instant. Wash on, chanted Petronilla. And they're like, ow, ah, and the dog says, woof. Wash on, wash on, wash on. After that, Petronilla, Babette, and Mrs. Gillis touched everything they could find. Each time, the splotches of color transferred from one object to another. Soon, the house looked like a kaleidoscope. Mrs. Gillis grumbled, but the others thought it was a delightful day. The next day was not so fun. I can't go to school like this, wailed Babette. What will happen if I shake somebody's hand? Her father muttered. Everyone looked at Petronilla. Petronilla, dear Petronilla, please say wash off. Petronilla had never felt so important. She smiled sweetly. Wash on. Don't panic, Mr. Gillis whispered. Petronilla will come around soon. Until then, we'll just stay inside. But Mr. Gillis was wrong. Petronilla did not come around. One day passed, then 10, then 20. The hardest part was thinking up excuses to stay in the house. By the end of the month, Babette's teacher was threatening to alert the authorities if Babette did not come back to school at once. Goodness. Babette's the older sister. For goodness sake, Petronilla, Mrs. Gillis groaned. Say wash off. We can't exactly pretend we have the plague. Wash on, wash on, wash on, said Petronilla. Desperate times call for desperate measures, Mrs. Gillis declared. We're going to see a doctor. There must be some kind of cure for all these colors. And there they go, through the streets, going to the doctor. The doctor was flabbergasted by the explosion of color. He tried to think of the name for the strange condition. You have all come down with acute coloritis. They have coloritis.
What does that mean?
It's a made-up thing. Nothing could stop coloritis. Coloritis invaded the street, the neighborhood, the town, the country, the continent, the whole planet. It was more contagious than lice, the chickenpox, or the plague. But a lot more ridiculous as well. Look at all the colors. The whole world has got coloritis. The problem was that no one could find anything with all those colors. At the Gillis house, for instance, it was hard to see the difference between the dog or the flower vase or the couch. Luckily, the dog was the only one that barked when it was time for dinner. Woof, woof. But one day, there was no barking. No greetings from a hungry dog. No kisses from a warm and sloppy tongue. Dog, 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 Mr. and Mrs. Gillis cried at the top of their voices. Dog, called Babette in her perfect voice. Dog, screeched Petronilla. Dog? Suddenly, Petronilla went quiet. She thought hard. Her forehead creased. And then in a small voice, she murmured, wash off? She rubbed a corner of the table with her t-shirt, and the colors disappeared. Petronilla rubbed everything she could find and shouted with all her strength, wash off, wash off, wash off. After much rubbing and washing, the family found their dog at last. The poor thing had been trapped. Petronilla set him free. He got his muzzle in a jar. Ooh, they couldn't see him. Decoloritis was just as contagious as coloritis. Soon the house, the street, the neighborhood, the town, the country, the continent, and the entire planet were better than ever.
Whoa.
The whole universe breathed a sigh of relief. Except Petronilla. Sometimes she found that days were just a bit too dull.
What did you say?
Dull. Her days sometimes are dull, boring. So when Petronilla is bored, when Babette is too perfect, or when her mother insists on washing her ears, Petronella says loudly, "Wash on," just to put a little color into life. But these outbreaks of coloritis never last long. Petronella is too afraid to lose her dog again. The dog, by the way, earned a new name after this adventure. He is now called Chameleon, because he could change colors. The end. Man, Petronella got up to some rascally behavior, didn't she?
How can the dog change colors now?
It's coloritis, I guess. All right, everybody, let's stand up and do a little rhyme. Okay, we'll move a little bit. You ready? You ready to move? Oh, that's perfect. Good job. Okay. After my bath, I try to rub myself till I'm dry. Hands to dry and fingers and toes. 2 wet legs and 1 shiny nose. Just think how much time we would save if we were dogs. And we could shake. Should we do it one more time? Okay. After my bath, I try to rub myself till I'm dry. Hands to dry and fingers and toes. 2 wet legs and 1 shiny nose. Just think how much time it would save if we were all dogs and we could shake. Oh, that makes me dizzy. All right, give a spin and sit back down. Okay, now it's time for our second story. Edward Gets Messy by Rita Mead, and the pictures are by Olga Stern. Oh, you're still a dog? Okay. That's a really pretty shirt. Okay, everybody stand on your bottom so we can all see the book. Hi, I like your shirt too. All right, this is Edward. Edward is a very particular pig. He detests dirt. He fears filth. He likes things to be just so. Edward never gets messy. Never. Each morning before school, Edward irons his perfectly clean clothes. He tidies his perfectly tidy room until there's not a speck of dust in sight. He vacuums his perfectly sparkling goldfish tank with a special underwater vacuum. Edward is very happy with being very clean. But it's hard work to stay that way. Is that what you do in the morning, Walker? You clean everything before you do anything else? No? Edward never pets friendly dogs on the street. He never, ever eats food that spills or splatters. And he never, ever uses markers or glue sticks or paint. They are just too messy. It sure isn't easy being a particular pig. All of his friends are getting messy, aren't they? On the way to school one morning, Edward's friends jump in a big pile of dirty leaves. Crunch! But Edward doesn't get messy. He walks on the sidewalk. In Edward's science class, the baking soda volcano erupts into a spraying flow. Boom! But Edward doesn't get messy. He sits at the back of the room. I don't know. That doesn't sound very fun, does it? At lunchtime, everyone else at Edward's table eats spaghetti and meatballs. Slurp. But Edward doesn't get messy. He eats a plate of steamed broccoli. On the muddy field outside, Edward's classmates play a game of baseball. Squish. But Edward doesn't get messy. He stays in the stands.
What?
He stays in the stands.
Stands?
Yeah, like in the stands where the crowd is, where the fans watch. That's like the chairs where the people sit and watch. Edward has stayed clean for most of the day. Now there's just one class left. The art teacher gives out paper and paint. Gloop. Once again, Edward does not get messy. He straightens up the supply shelf, but something goes wrong. What is it? Bloop! Oh dear. Splat! Oh dear! To his surprise and his horror, and through no fault of his own, Edward gets messy. Look at all that mess. Edward is distraught. Edward is devastated. Edward doesn't know what to do. But wait. He is green. What's he doing here? He's painting. That's right. Look how happy he looks hanging up. He's all messy and he hung up his art. Oh, that's fun. The next day at school, Edward helps the science teacher with her experiment. Look how messy he is. Out on the muddy baseball field, Edward gets a hit and slides into second base. That seems way more fun than sitting in the stands, doesn't it? And on the way home from school, he jumps into a big pile of leaves. Edward is no longer afraid to pet friendly dogs on the street or eat food that spills and splatters. Look, he's got a bowl of spaghetti on his head. And he happily uses markers and glue sticks and especially paint, because now Edward knows that it's okay even for particular pigs to get messy.
But pigs love the messy.
I know, that's funny, isn't it? After all, they can always clean up afterward. I guess Edward figured baths out, so that's cool. Edward can take a bath, get messy, then you get clean again, right? Okay, are y'all ready to dance? Let's all stand up. Miss Carrie, can you give us a song, please? All right. So it's time to get all clean. I'll be the cleanest that you've ever seen. Jump in the bath and scrub, scrub, scrub. Wash my face. Wash my face, do 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 do. Wash my face. Okay. It's time to get all clean. I'll be the cleanest kid you've ever seen. Let's jump in the bathtub and scrub, scrub, scrub. Wash my arms, do 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 do. Wash my arms, do 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 do. Wash my arms. Hands. Wash my hands, do 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 do. Wash my hands, do 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 do. Wash my jump in the bathtub. It's time to get all clean. I'll be the cleanest kid you've ever seen. Woo! Jump in the water. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Wash my knees. Wash my knees. Do, 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 do. Wash my knees. Do, 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 do. Wash my knees. Toes. Wash my toes. Do, 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 do. Wash my toes. All clean. I'm all clean. Do, 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 do. I'm all clean. Do, 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 do. I'm all clean. Woo! All right. Give it a little spin and sit back down. Okay. Now it's time for our last story. Who's in the Tub by Sylvie Jones. Pictures by Pascal Constantine. There he goes to take a bath. Willie John Jones, are you in the tub? I'm waiting to hear you splash and scrub. That's what his mom yells from the other room. Mom, I'm not in the tub. I'm not in just yet. I don't really feel like getting wet. What's happening? Do y'all see these pictures? Willie, you love a bath once you get in. Why must you stall before you begin? Mom, I have a reason, a good one, I think. Can I take my bath in the kitchen sink? Willie John Jones, I'd rather not shout. The sooner you're in, the sooner you're out. What is happening? Mom, I hear you. There's no need to shout. I'll be getting right in and getting right out.
Where is his mom?
She's in the other room. Willie, I don't hear a single splash. I don't believe you're in the bath. Do you think he is? Oh my goodness, that's a big octopus. Mom, I have the soap. I have shampoo. I'm scrubbing like you told me to. What is happening? Then finish up, Willie. It's getting late. I want you in bed no later than 8. Aw, Mom, one more minute. Now that I'm wet, I'm not ready to get out just yet. Is this like your nights at home? I won't.
I don't want to get in the bath, and I don't want to get out.
Yeah, that sounds familiar to me. I won't say it again. It's very late. Are you going to be in bed by 8? I like my bath, Mom. You were right. Maybe I'll sleep in the bathtub tonight. Willie John Jones, are you out of the tub? The drain isn't saying glubba glub job. Mom, I'm out of the tub. We had a nice swim. Tomorrow we'll definitely get back in. Willie, did I hear you say we? She's like, who's in there with you? The end. That was a silly one, y'all. Yeah, it was. Okay. Now we're going to do a flannel story, and I need your help with this one, okay? So what do you think's going to get in this bathtub? I bet you won't guess it in a million years. No, not that one. Octopus, that's a good guess, but no, not that one. A kid? That's a really good guess, but it's not a kid. You'll never guess.
A mom.
No, not a mom.
Pig.
Good guess, but not a pig.
Rhino.
No. Y'all give up? A horse? No. No, not a duck. That's a good guess, though. No.
I give up.
You give up. Y'all, we're going to have elephants in the bathtub. Elephants! Elephants in a bathtub. That's so silly. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that the elephants go for a swim, and then we're going to say, knock, knock, splash, splash. Come on in. Can you practice that with me? Knock, knock, splash, splash. Come on in. Very good. Okay. So we'll start out. How many elephants are in the tub right now? One. Okay. One elephant in the tub going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash. Come on in. Okay. We've got more than. How many do we have now? Two elephants. Two elephants in the tub going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash. Come on in. I think I got it backwards that time. We clap first. All right. We've got room for one more. How many do we have now? Three. Three elephants in a tub going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash. Come on in. All right. Let's do another one. Oh my goodness, how many do we have? 4. 4 elephants in a tub going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash. Come on in. Okay. We've got how many now? 5. Okay, so this one we're going to do it a little bit differently because I only have 5 elephants. So we're going to say 5 elephants in a tub going for a swim. Knock, knock, splash, splash. They all fell in. Oh my goodness. They fell in the tub. Well, I bet they're cleaner now, don't you think? How did they go in the tub? We just imagine it. Okay. Well, this little goat, he's been in the tub the whole time. You think he's clean yet? Well, I don't know. Maybe he wants to get back in. But this is going to be our craft for the day. So we're going to have little paper dolls or little animal to cut out. We've got all kinds. So here's a tiger. This is a goat. Yeah, there's all kinds of animals. So you'll have to pick your favorite. Awesome.
They look dirty, and then when you put them in the bath, they magically turn blue.
Oh, yeah, that's neat. So you're going to have 2 bathtubs, and you can color them. And then you're going to cut out one of them. And you're going to take your glue stick, and you're going to put glue on the bottom of the tub and on the sides, but not on the top because we want to create a pocket. And once you get your glue on the 3 sides of the tub, you'll glue it on top of the other tub, on the other whole sheet. And then your little paper doll can get in and out of the tub because we'll have a little pocket. So that's our craft for the day. That'll be a lot of fun to do. Everything's all set up in the story or in the craft room. So let's sing our goodbye song now. All right. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say goodbye as quiet as we can. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say goodbye as loud as we can. Goodbye! Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say goodbye as fast as we can. Goodbye! Goodbye! Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say goodbye as slow as we can. Goodbye. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say goodbye as high as we can. Goodbye. All right, last one. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Let's say goodbye as low as we can. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining me for story time today. We'll see y'all next time.